Namo Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Today is the day when Srila Prabhupada arrived in 1965 in the US. So it's a very opportune time to remember the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, because without his grace, his divine grace, we wouldn't be here. And it's especially important to keep remembering what he's done for us and have that mood of gratitude towards him at all times. He took his birth on the 1st of September in 1896, and that's the day after Janmashtami. It's Nand Utsav, and he took his birth in Kolkata. His father, Gaur Mohan De, and mother, Rajani, they named him Abhay Charan. Abhay means fear, less, and Charan is the feet of the Lord, one who is fearless, having taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. So, as is the custom, especially in Bharat, the astrologer prepares a horoscope for the child. And this particular astrologer explained to his mother and father, when this child reaches the age of 70, he will cross the ocean, become a great teacher of religion, and establish 108 temples. And this is exactly what happened at the age of 70. Who would even dream of leaving one's glorious home, especially in Vrindavan, to go to a place where one has no friends, no contacts, no temples, no devotees, and a place which is full of materialism. But he did it. He did it. Srila Prabhupada set out to America in 1965, established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness at the age of 69. He celebrated his birthday, 70th birthday, on the ship. So he didn't even fly to America. He took a ship, he took a boat, a cargo. It wasn't even a luxurious steamer. It was a luxurious cruise ship or something. It was a cargo ship. He traveled around the world 14 times thereafter, establishing more than 100 temples of Krishna, initiating more than 10,000 disciples into Krishna consciousness. And of course, that is part of his achievement. But even today, his Bhaktivedanta purports are still having such impact on the lives of so many people. So the fact that he initiated a number of disciples is, I would say, not so important, because the impact he's having is throughout the whole world on so many millions of people. Even he is not present on this earth planet. This is the power of Bhakti, of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That's why he's one of the greatest. He's the greatest spiritual master that ever existed. Some of his pastimes. So let's just revise some of these wonderful pastimes of his. He would speak about his early childhood in his books or his conversations with the devotees. My father was a pure devotee of the Lord. When I was only 4 years, 5 years, he gave me forms of Radha Krishna. He used to worship them with his sister, Pisima. And they used to imitate performances of neighborhood temple worship of Radha Govind. And they used to constantly visit the neighborhood temple, copying the ceremonies in connection with his own deities. So he developed this natural affinity for the Lord. He says later on in his life that there was never a moment where I had forgotten Krishna. So this is powerful. I remember when I was only 1 year old, there was a great Sankirtan in our house. I also joined the dancing party. I was seeing up to their knees, very small. I remember those days. In Calcutta, there was a virulent type of plague epidemic in 1898. So Calcutta became devastated. All people practically left Calcutta. Daily, hundreds and hundreds of people were dying. I was 1 year old, or 1.5 years. So when Babaji, he organized Sankirtan, Hare Krishna Sankirtan, all over Calcutta. In the Sankirtan, all people, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi, everyone joined. They were going road to road, street to street, entering in every house. So the plague subsided. This is a fact. Everyone knows history of Calcutta, knows that the plague was subsided by the, by the Sankirtan movement. This is the power of the holy name. So even in these times of Corona, we should take note that chanting of the holy names is actually our salvation. We may get the virus, we may not get the virus, but ultimately we have to understand that the chanting of the holy name is the most important thing. In my childhood, when I was 1.5 years old, I suffered from typhoid, and the doctor, he gave some chicken soup juice, but the father refused. No, we cannot take. No, he has to be given, said the doctor. He has become so weak. And the father said, no, I cannot allow. Okay, I will make the preparation in my own house, the doctor said. You simply have to give it to him. Okay, so they made the preparation. As soon as they gave it to him, he started to vomit. And the father threw away the medicine. And when the doctor asked, where is the medicine? No, don't bother. Father's income, 300 rupees, which in those days was probably enough to keep them going. And that's 300 rupees a month, I believe. So he was saying they were not very rich, but they had no want. Father was maintaining the family, getting children married, distributing the wealth. Everything was nice. We never felt any want. In this mango season, because father saw to it, there must always be a full basket of mangoes daily for the children. So we were jumping, playing, eating mangoes. Very happy childhood. When I was 6 years old, my father gave me a rath cart, encouraged to observe functions such as Rath Yatra and Dol Yatra ceremonies. I was performing the Rath Yatra in my neighborhood. He used to spend money liberally for distributing prasad to us children and our friends. I received this training from the very beginning. Somehow or other, I had this spark of Krishna consciousness. My father detected it. So this is a nice painting of Abhay Charan offering Aarti to Jagannath Baladev Subhadra on the Rath car with Kirtan going on. So he engaged his childhood neighborhood friends from a young age in Rath Yatra. And of course, later on, we know he established Rath Yatra in every country, pretty much, of this world. Who else can do that? My father, he took care of me in such a way that I became perfectly Krishna conscious. He taught me how to play the Madanga drum. My mother was against. There were two teachers, one for teaching me A, B, C, D, and one for teaching me Madanga. The first was waiting, and the other teacher was teaching me how to play Madanga. My mother would become dissatisfied. She was angry. What is this nonsense? You are teaching Madanga. What will he do with this Madanga? But my father would say, no, you must learn a little Madanga. And then when Prabhupada came to the West, he would play the Madanga and he would attract so many hippies and musicians, actually. They would be very impressed with his playing of the Madanga. My father used to receive many saintly persons at our home. To every one of them, he used to say, kindly bless my son so that he may become a servant of Radharani. That was his only ambition. He wanted me to become a preacher of Bhagavad, Srimad Bhagavatam, player of Madanga and become a servant of Radharani. Every parent should think like that. Otherwise, one should not become a father or a mother. If due to past pious activities, one gets a good father and mother, that is a great chance for advancing in Krishna consciousness. I am very much indebted to my father. I have dedicated my book, Krishna book, to him. So he became a student at the Scottish Churches College in 1916, which was a very prestigious college. In 1918, he was married to Radharani Dutt. And in 1920, Mahatma Gandhi started the non-cooperation movement to fight the British, to get them out of India. And at that time, many of the students were giving up their college degrees or whatever studies they were doing. And Srila Prabhupada followed that same path of what Gandhiji wanted people to do, the non-cooperation movement. He gave up his degree. Of course, they did a lot of things at that time. Abhay was one of the students who gave up the English education, joined Gandhi's movement. He started wearing khadi. But then something miraculous happened in 1922. Srila Prabhupada was persuaded by his friend Narendra Maulik to go and see this sadhu. He had seen many sadhus before because his father always invited sadhus, but they were not giving him great experience of spirituality. So he was a little wary of sadhus. They were perhaps a little bit materialistically minded and perhaps not so much bhakti. Anyway, his friend insisted. They went and they met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was wearing sannyas robes. He was looking very studious with his glasses, straight back. And even before the two young attendees could rise from the bowing down to the floor, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati immediately started preaching to them. You are educated young men. Why don't you preach the message of Krishna all over the world? Now, Prabhupada, because he was a follower of Gandhi and this point about getting in British out of India, he immediately asked the question, who will hear the message as long as we are a dependent country? First, surely India must become independent. Then we can spread our Indian culture. How can we do it if we are under British rule? But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada had a reply. Message of Krishna cannot wait for a change in Indian politics. It is not dependent on who ruled. The teachings of Bhagavad Gita are so important, so exclusively important, it cannot wait. This is really, really powerful. And in our own lives, we shouldn't wait. If there's something to do spiritually, we should do it today. Don't wait to do it tomorrow. Do it today. Because who knows what can happen tomorrow. So this is the point which Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has made. We cannot wait for a change in politics. This message is so important. So bhakti is very important. So Abhay was very impressed. And later on he says that I accepted Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as my spiritual master at that very moment. He took initiation 11 years later, however, in a place called Allahabad, Prayag. And this is a very nice picture of Srila Prabhupada taking initiation. So then he was a householder, he was married, he had children, he had a business, he was a pharmaceutical business, very well established. He used to invent his own medicines, own toothpaste, which is based along the Ayurvedic lines. But he would contribute to his spiritual master's mission by donating money or some time whenever he had time. Eventually, he wrote to Bhaktisiddhanta in December 36, very humbly, I want to do some seva for you. What can I do? I am not a sannyasi, I'm a grahastha. What can I do for you? So he received a reply on 31st December 1936. His spiritual master had already passed away 2 weeks before. In the reply, he said, to his astonishment, the letter reiterated the same order he had been given in 1922 when he first met his spiritual master. You try to preach whatever you have learned from me to the English-speaking people of the world. That will be good for you and for the people to whom you preach. That is my instruction to you. So Prabhupada, he took this instruction as his final order from the spiritual master. He made it his life's mission. He started Back to Godhead magazine in 1944, and it was a difficult time because at that time there was a war, Second World War, and to get paper was really tough because the government India had to sanction paper for the printing. But he managed to do it. He managed to get the paper to print Back to Godhead magazine. He started the League of Devotees in Jhansi, but he didn't succeed. It was really tough. Too much politics there. And people were not really interested in spiritual life. They were interested in trying to improve their material condition. And Prabhupada, his business was still going, but it was quite tough. It was tough times at that time. And then he would get these dreams from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, where Bhaktisiddhanta would appear and tell him to take sannyas, and he would be shocked. How can I take sannyas? I've got a family. I've got so many responsibilities. I've got 5 children, big factory in Lucknow. But eventually all of his business dwindled and failed. And he somehow or other had to detach himself from the business, from the family, and he decided to retire from family life. And he moved to Vrindavan, the place where Lord Krishna displayed his childhood pastimes. And he would live in a very humble and austere way in the Radha Damodar temple. He had one room. I think we got a picture coming up. And he had another room where he had his kitchen. That was it. And he had no income, of course. He would eat very little, but he would write and he would collect money to print books. He would have these dreams regularly about taking sannyas. His spiritual master would urge him, become a sannyasi. He would wonder why his spiritual master asked him to accept sannyas. He reasoned that his spiritual master was saying, now take sannyas, you will actually be able to accomplish this mission. Before it was not right time. So in 1959, he took sannyas. So we talked about that a week or so ago. And he was with another personality called Muni Maharaj. Keshav Maharaj gave him the sannyas. Keshav Maharaj is one of his godbrothers, senior godbrothers. And even Keshav Maharaj understood Abhay has a mission. He asked him to speak in English in that ceremony of when he was taking sannyas. Of course, nobody understood English. They all spoke Hindi. But this was the mission that Prabhupada had. So he spoke in English. And this is a fantastic picture of Prabhupada taking initiation, Keshav Maharaj, Muni Maharaj. And he started the work on the Bhagavatam. That's his life's mission, practically speaking. He did the first 3 volumes, the first canto, while he was in Bharat. And then he went to Murari, what was her name? Murari
Desai, Prabhu.
No. That's the he used to be the Prime Minister of India. What was her name? forgot her name now. And I've got it here somewhere. Sumita, yeah. Sumita Murarji.
Morarji.
Yeah, that's right. He approached
Morarji, yeah. Sorry.
He approached her. That's right. He approached her. She had this Scindia steamship line. She inherited it. She was the head of it. But and she'd already donated. She knew about him. She donated money for him to print one of his volumes. But she wouldn't give him a ticket because he was an old man. He was 69. So she wouldn't give him a ticket. She would give him messages that, do you want to go there to die? Just stay where you are. But he was determined. Huh? And he would persuade his secretary, Mr. Chokshi, to talk to her, Sumati. Tell her, I have to go to US to preach Krishna's mission. It's my spiritual master's order. But she would stand firm. Eventually, he got an audience with her. And he begged her, give me a ticket, please. So she saw his determination. And she gave him a ticket on the Jaladuta, which was sailing from Calcutta on the 13th of August, 1965. And she also advised the captain that a sannyasi is coming, very important man. Keep some extra vegetables and fruit for him. And just prior to going to India, US, or on the ship, he went to Advaitacharya's place, Shantipur. And this Pujari had seen him for many years before, but he hadn't seen him for a long time. Now he saw again Abhay. And he asked him, who are you? I am Abhay, he says. I have an impossible mission that my spiritual master has given me. And tomorrow I leave for America. I've come here to get the blessings of Advaitacharya. So then years later, this Pujari saw devotees coming in dhoti kurta, white-bodied, black-bodied. And one of them gave him Back to Godhead magazine. He saw the picture of Prabhupada in the magazine and he was amazed. Wow, he did it. He did it. And he went later to Mayapur and he told this pastime to the devotees there. Such an amazing pastime. So, what did Prabhupada take with him? He had a few trunks of books. He had 200 3-volume sets of his Bhagavatam. He had his personal bag, small suitcase, umbrella, sadhus used to carry, a small supply of dry cereal. He was thinking, okay, there may not be any vegetarian food. At least I'll live on this cereal for some time. Extraordinary, really, extraordinary. And he had 40 rupees. I don't know where those 40 rupees are. He never spent them. You couldn't change them. No, you couldn't change it because you can't change it because US dollar could not be exchanged. Well, rupees could not be exchanged. I wonder if they've still got those 40 rupees somewhere. Maybe, yeah. So anyway, after 10 days on the ship, he became sick, seasickness, pains in the chest. He had 2 heart attacks. One more and he would have been gone. But then Krishna appeared to him, said to him, don't worry, I am here to protect you. Don't worry. He celebrated his 70th birthday on the ship, on the journey. And the Atlantic was so calm. The captain even told him, never seen the Atlantic so calm. If the Atlantic would have shown his usual face, perhaps I would have died. But Lord Krishna took charge of the ship. And this is one of the most incredible poems that he wrote. Years later, devotees found this. 35 days after he set off from that journey from Calcutta, the Jaladuta reached Boston's Commonwealth Pier. 5:30 a.m., 17th September 1965. So that's today, according to the Indian Tithi. And then the ship went from Boston onwards to New York City, which is where he disembarked. So this poem is really truly glorious. Karuna's not with us to sing it. Unfortunately, some things happened, so she isn't able to make it today. But I think we should read this poem. I think Madhusudan Prabhu, you love this poem. So would you like to read this poem?
Yeah, Haribol? Yeah. Wait a minute. Which
this is the
you go
Makine Bhagavat Dharma.
It's wonderful to listen about Prabhupada, again and again.
Yeah.
And I always like telling people about Prabhupada.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
Makine Bhagavata Dharma. Yeah. So it says, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive and reception, then he will be able to understand your message. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 17:21, Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for the material enjoyment from the hearts of the devotees who have developed the urge to hear his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of the nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering. Go over the page.
Oh, yes.
Disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy.
Mm.
Thus establishing the modes of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with the devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive action is terminated when one sees the self as master. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, Lord, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Is there more after this?
Yes, yes, yes.
Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel and gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I'm just a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta, which is signed in the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, on date 18th of September, 1965.
Amazing.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Sri Prabhupada.
Yeah, thank you so much. So there in America, he knew nobody. Luckily, he'd met somebody called Agarwal, Mr. Agarwal in Mathura, who had a son called Gopal in Pittsburgh. And this Agarwal, he arranged for his son to give him that sponsorship letter. And he had done that sponsorship letter for many others. Nobody turned up. Prabhupada turned up, which is amazing. And he lived in Pittsburgh. So from New York, there was an arrangement made by Gopal to take Srila Prabhupada to Pittsburgh by bus. And he lived in a place called Butler, Pennsylvania, for maybe a month or so. This is Gopal, the son, and this is his son. This was in Mumbai some few years back, where he was honored for his service to Prabhupada. So this is the end of this pastime. This is the ship. It's Jaladuta, very famous ship. I don't know if it's still in commission. Probably not. This is the passport. Somebody said to Prabhupada, "You're looking very sad in this picture." Prabhupada said, "This was the most ecstatic moment in my life." So appearances are very deceptive, especially in the spiritual realm. Things are not always what they seem to be. So that's really where I wanted to stop. in New York. He went through many challenges, so we can go through those another time. And Madhusudan Prabhu has been to this wonderful park, Tompkins Park, Thompson Square, where Prabhupada started the Sankirtan outside the temple, and it gathered such incredible pace, and so many visitors came as a result of that. So many things happened. So anyway, the prophecy was fulfilled by the astrologer, from the astrologer. He established 108 temples, gurukuls, schools, cow protection, in Bhaktivedanta Institute. He wrote so many books, so many things he did. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, any comments? Anybody like to add anything?
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada's given his whole rest of his life to establish Krishna consciousness and for us to be aware of Krishna. So I think we should individually do a little bit towards that and get one person to become Krishna conscious. That would be a mission successful.
Indeed, you're absolutely spot on. We can only do whatever little thing we do, but let's do it with full heart. Yeah, I agree with you.
Even if one person comes to become Krishna as a devotee and listens to Prabhupada's lectures, purports, then I think...
and you've done that one person already, Aruna. You cheeky so-and-so. You have to do two.
I think I've done more than one, but anyway, I don't want to boast about it. But yes, you hit the nail on the head, which gives me much pleasure that she really enjoys. So that's good. Thank you,
He's
Prabhupada.
very good. Yeah, he's very good. Yeah, well
And
done.
Thank you for your Zoom platform that I really appreciate. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Me too, thank you.
Now, well done, fantastic.
Yeah. Haribol?
Yes, listen. Well.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's nice to listen to these pastimes. Like, obviously, Prabhupada has made a major impact in our life. Otherwise, there would be no trouble. But I can remember 1965. I was still in Africa. Just about second year of my secondary school, in fact. 69, I came to the UK, and then it was a miserable life here in UK. And early days were very bad, but then you wonder why you ended up in a place like UK in Coventry. And somehow, at that time, I can keep on relating how Prabhupada would still be just in America. Then he would have, the hippie era was there. I remember the hippie era in 69, 70s, 80, early 70s. And then I went to college, and some of my friends were all like long hair hippie. Even I was a bit like that. But fortunately, I did see the Hare Krishna on the top of the pops. I said, what's going on here? All these in dhotis dancing and all that. And then you hear the Hare Krishna mantra. But I remember I used to go to the library to borrow some LPs. I couldn't afford any money to buy records and all that. And I remember borrowing this one particular LP, which had Prabhupada's chanting on it, and Prabhupada's singing, and I would come and record the take, and then give the LP back to the library, So that was my early days of sort of coming across Krishna consciousness. But to come across Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita and then the Krishna trilogy books, the first editions that he had commissioned, and printed Macmillan version of Bhagavad Gita and all that. So later on, it unfolds how Prabhupada's activities were going on. Shyam Sundar had come to UK and established Bury Place Temple. And he met George Harrison, and then Prabhupada came, and there was a Rath Yatra. Oh, so it's amazing. Anyway, I want to. So yeah. It's all Without his mercy, we wouldn't have a clue about our life. We like he found, I had a visitor from Dubai a couple of days ago. He's obviously Krishna conscious in Dubai, and even Dubai, they call it Damodar Desh, There's so many devotees now. And he came and he wanted to have some prasad. His son is going to university here in Coventry, Warwick University. So he had come to settle him in. And while he came here, he just wanted to meet some devotees. Obviously, we know somebody in Dubai, so they've given my number, my son's number. So he came over here. He wanted to have prasad with us. And the last minute, Kamakshi made some prasad for for him and his son, and we looked after him for the evening. And he was saying how wonderful it is to have the association of devotees. He said, we are like parasites. Wherever we find devotees, we just want to get as much as we can from there. So it was nice to have a time with that couple. But there's so many people like him who will find that Prabhupada's personality. Even for Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, to commemorate and the coin with Prabhupada's head on the coin in Bharat now.
Yeah.
And his speech was amazing as well, to glorify Prabhupada, who he said single-handedly he has given this Sanatana Dharma single-handedly to the whole world. And and people in Bharat don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
but it's all unfolding. Krishna's plan, Krishna's mercy, and Prabhupada's mercy. God, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, good. Anybody else? Anybody else like to share? Okay, Srila Prabhupada.